How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sunday 3 Pacific 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Thursday here on the show. You know what that means? We got a lot to talk about here today. Last night was Dynamite, and we're going to go over the Dynamite recap later on in the show. And, of course, we'll talk about Collision on Saturday as well, because the pay-per-view is Sunday this week, everyone. Sunday. I keep throwing that out there because a lot of times AEW runs on Saturday, as does WWE. And I expected Saturday, and it screwed up my whole weekend. But it's Sunday. We'll give you the lineup for the show, tell you what's going on there. Recap the Dynamite show, which old Dynamite Dave, coincidentally, was at last night. So we'll tell you about that. Plus, Smackdown is coming up on Friday. There is AAA Rey de Reyes on Saturday night as well. So we'll go into all of that. Plus, the news. There's always news. We do know where the final NXT... Well, I guess it's not the final anymore now, is it? We know where NXT Stand Deliver is going to air after the final PLE aired on Peacock. And it will not air on Peacock. So we're going to tell you about that. Plus notes on the AAA Lucha Libre World Cup. More on Rey de Reyes. We've got another WWE star that's going to be making an appearance there. We have the date and location for the next Saturday night's main event. We've got some changes to Evolve. Normally we don't talk about Evolve, but these changes involve NXT stars. They're doing a weird thing now. I don't get it, but whatever. We'll talk about it. We've got Braun Strowman launching a new show and plenty more. Lance Storm is going to join us here today. He was unavailable Tuesday, but he's available today and tomorrow. So we will talk to him about all this stuff and more. So stand by, everybody. Back in a moment. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Chat GPT, Smackdown review starring Filthy Tom and Bryan Alvarez.
Welcome back, you miserable wretches, to another disaster of an episode of Figure 4 Daily, the only show on the internet that's guaranteed to make your brain rot faster than watching one of these Smackdown episodes. I'm your host, Filthy Tom Waller, joined by the man who somehow manages to be more useless than a rubber knife in a prison fight, Bryan Alvarez. What's up, Bryan?
Let's not pretend you're the shining star of this operation. You're like a broken pencil. Pointless. And I don't even know I'm still here with you. Anyway, let's get to this train wreck of a Smackdown. Spoiler alert, if you were expecting a wrestling show, you've come to the wrong place. It was like watching someone fall asleep in real time.
You should know all about falling asleep, Bryan, since you've been half dead for years now. If enthusiasm was an Olympic sport, you would get a participation medal for showing up, but still lose.
I could tell the crowd was hyped for Drew, and Nakamura's music is always a banger, but it was just nothing. It's like watching a 5-minute commercial for a product you don't even want to buy.
And I bet the only thing that was more uninspiring than this match was your entire existence. Let's move on before I fall asleep right here on this microphone.
Tom, you think because you're a former fighter, that makes you a wrestling expert? You'd probably lose in a match with a traffic cone. Look, Jade's a star, but Liv Morgan, she's the human version of a please wait screen.
Liv Morgan is about as useful as a sandbag at a swimming pool party, who's like trying to make a turkey sandwich with no bread.
It's like the crowd went from yay to who's got the remote. Can we change the channel?
Liv Morgan's biggest move is making the audience wish for better things. She's like the human version of a wet sock. Nobody wants it.
I get it, Tom. You don't like fun. You don't like energy. You don't like anything that's not just sitting on your couch in your pajamas complaining.
More of the same.
Oh, we're back to more of the same, huh? Just like your wrestling career. More of the same, but somehow still a disaster.
Well, that's it, folks. SmackDown 2025 was more like SmackDown 2005. Same old stuff, same old disappointments. Join us next time when we tear apart something else for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, next time, Tom, maybe we'll actually have some real wrestling to talk about instead of whatever disaster this was. Until then, just remember, don't listen to Tom and don't watch SmackDown unless you hate yourself.
Whatever. It's your funeral.
What? I've never been so embarrassed doing this show as I was for the last 5 minutes. God. In the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Lance Storm is joining us here today. Where were you? What's up with your legs?
I had an appointment at an orthopedic clinic to check into my knees, and I'm going to be getting a cortisone injection in the one. I've got torn cartilage and meniscus, but I guess since I had it scoped once before, they don't do it again because that accelerates the arthritis issues and increases my chance of knee replacement later on in life. So a cortisone injection first, and then potentially, again, I forget the name of it, but basically a gel injection into your knees to help avoid that bone-on-bone impact.
Wow. I also heard the same thing, that you can get that knee scope, but you're just scoping your way closer to a knee replacement. I was like, I'll deal with this. I do not want a knee replacement.
At least not yet.
Hey, Granny got some cortisone shot or something in her knee, and now she's like running around. Feels great. 96. So
maybe that's 97.
Maybe that's 97 in November.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, that's all. We always add a year for some reason. She loves it. Nothing like adding a year when you're 96.
She's 40 years older than me exactly then. Well, not exactly, but...
How old are you?
56.
I guess that math works out right, huh?
Yeah, although I will be 57 very, very shortly.
Cool. Golly.
Yeah.
Can't do much with you no more.
Put me out to pasture.
Yeah, time to be put out to pasture, Lance.
Yeah. Hair okay, Bryan?
I can see that there's like a stray when I looked over at that thing. That was annoying. Anyway, so NXT is leaving Peacock. Well, they've already left. The content should be gone literally any day now. I think the 15th maybe, so like maybe 3 more days. So everyone was wondering where the heck are this last PLE going to go? And I guess all future PLEs. We got to figure that out as well. Stand and Deliver is coming up in a month. And we, until yesterday, had absolutely no idea where this was going to air. It was weird because I was told by somebody there, well, basically all of this. It's not going to be on Peacock, but we don't know where it's going to be. We don't know what's going on. And then over the weekend, during the PLE, people said they advertised Stand and Deliver for Peacock. And I brought that up to somebody there, and they were like, I don't think that's true. So I asked people to go back and check. And in fact, there was one commercial for Stand and Deliver. And after the commercial, I think it was actually after the commercial, they had a little thing about Peacock. So anyway, a lot of people left the show Saturday thinking it was going to air on Peacock. They'd make a deal for one show or whatever. And as it turns out, I mean, sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. It was announced yesterday, Stand and Deliver is streaming live on WWE's YouTube channel. So they don't have an outlet for it. They're just going to air it on YouTube. And it starts at 7 p.m. It'll be taking place at the Factor in Chesterfield, Missouri. Shawn Michaels managed to send out a tweet announcing the broadcast details. And, whole thing's just weird. It's been a rough year for NXT, all by their own issues.
Yeah, but just for the sake of other listeners here internationally, it's on Netflix everywhere but the U.S.
Netflix
carries all WWE programming internationally.
I know, but this isn't going to be on Netflix.
It will be in Canada and other places around the world.
That's where NXT is airing?
That's where it's been airing since all other international programming has gone to Netflix. We get the NXT television show on Netflix.
I don't know anything about this Canada thing.
It's the rest of the world, dude.
I know, but I would think that if it's going to be on YouTube, it would just be on YouTube all over the world. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Those of us that matter are going to be watching it on YouTube.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah. I guess we'll find out where they go next. I mean, they couldn't make a deal anywhere in time for this, so I'm sure they're negotiating because it ain't going to be the last NXT PLE. I mean, maybe they'll just put them all on YouTube. I don't know what kind of money they make off YouTube for ads and etc. But, yeah. So this is supposedly the WrestleMania weekend show, but it's airing weeks before WrestleMania. I guess because they don't want to go head-to-head or on the same weekend as a TNA pay-per-view, which is nice of them. But, yeah. Stand and Deliver, April 4th on YouTube.
Day after my birthday.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, the day after you're over the hill for real this time.
I'm over the hill on Good Friday. I'm not sure what's good about it, but hey.
Netflix for international viewers. How about that? Why isn't it like they couldn't make a deal to put it on Netflix in the U.S.? Isn't that kind of weird? I don't know. Whatever.
Smackdown. Everything is on Netflix internationally.
I know. I'm just pointing out that it's weird that with the Peacock deal ending, they couldn't somehow make a deal to get this NXT PLE on Netflix.
Maybe Netflix didn't want to pay more money than they're already paying.
I mean, clearly they don't, which is, like, interesting. But ESPN apparently doesn't either at this point. There's no home for NXT. You know what? Maybe if you'd pushed Javon last year. Whatever. So anyway, that's the update on where that's going to be taking place. We got the AAA Lucha Libre World Cup returning. According to WrestleVotes Radio, they'll be holding their 5th edition of the event May 30th at Arena Monterrey, Mexico. This Saturday's Rey de Reyes event. So here's how it's working because people were trying to figure this out for the Bryan and Vinny show as well, including us. So we just finished WWF Smack'em Whack'em. It was a videotape, which, by the way, you should go check out the Smack'em Whack'em reviews because they were a lot of fun. But it was largely a goofy tape. But it did feature the Ric Flair Bret Hart Saskatoon World Title match, which is all right. You know, it's pretty good. I can't say it was a great match. And we talked about it, by the way. And somebody on my Blue Sky, man, they were angry when I said the match was not very good. I'm going to find the exact quote because I thought people weren't supposed to be mean on Blue Sky.
On the internet?
Let's see here.
It's all relative. Everybody's mean sometimes.
He wrote something really mean. Like, get bent or something? Anyway. Wish I could find it. Oh, yeah. On behalf of Saskatoon, get bent. It was awesome. I'm not sure if this guy actually watched the match, because let me tell you, Doug, it wasn't awesome. And in fact, how could it be awesome? Because Flair had an inner ear issue and he was all dizzy. Bret injured his ankle and he broke his finger. So no, it wasn't great, Doug from Saskatoon. But anyway.
I bet you if you were there in the building in that era, it would have been awesome.
I don't know, man. I watched it and those fans weren't going crazy for it till the end. They were shocked. It was a cool moment. But I can't say it was like... Did you watch that match, by the way?
Back in the day, I would have saw at least clips of it, but I didn't watch it back, no.
You should have watched it back so you can find out if I should, in fact, get bent. Or
as a general rule, I'd endorse that.
I don't know, man. You might have watched it and thought, yeah, it was all right. But anyway, the point is, now that we're done, we're going to do 3 weeks on Tuesday of AAA Rey de Reyes. And the way it's working is, Rey de Reyes is this Saturday night. The normal AAA television show is going to consist of the first hour. So the first hour of Rey de Reyes is live on the WWE AAA show this coming weekend. And then the following 2 weeks will be the following 2 hours of Rey de Reyes. And they have announced that I believe Penta was going to be kicking off the show. So he's going to be there. So if you want to watch Rey Reyes for free, the first hour will be this coming Saturday night, and the following 2 weeks will be the following 2 hours. So that's the update. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. If you love this show, you should consider signing up at WrestlingObserver.com. WrestlingObserver.com has every show that we have ever done, over 15,000 podcasts in the archives, dating back to 2005. Searchable by show, searchable by year. Perhaps the first show you ever watched was 2008 WrestleMania? Well, you can head into the archives and you can find the podcast we did, all built around the 2008 WrestleMania. Every major show, whether it be WWE, AEW, we covered it all. 15,000 archived shows at WrestlingObserver.com. Also, when you subscribe, you get full access to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. There's a new Observer every Friday. And on top of that, we have thousands and thousands of archived issues of the Observer dating back to 1991. So again, WrestleMania 2008. Go to the archives, search WrestleMania 2008, read all of the issues surrounding that show. Of course, Wrestling Observer newsletter, 40,000 words of news and information on pro wrestling and mixed martial arts every single week. New issue comes out every Friday. New back issue comes out every Monday. You also get the discussion board. One of the best discussion boards on the internet. It's members only. If you're going to troll, well, you got to pay to troll, and there aren't too many of those. And if you cause too much trouble, you're out of there. So if you want a great place to discuss professional wrestling, it is the board. Also available as a subscriber at WrestlingObserver.com. The whole package, all of the new shows, all of the archived shows, all of the new issues of the Observer, all of the archived editions of the newsletter, all of the past episodes of Wrestling Observer Radio, Wrestling Observer Live, The Bryan and Vinny Show, Figure 4 Daily, Filthy 4 Daily, The Board, all of it, just $14.99 per month. The full shebang, and you can save a lot of money getting an annual subscription. A full year, you basically get 2 months free. So check it out, WrestlingObserver.com, everything you'll ever need as a fan of professional wrestling. Check it out today, F4WOnline.com. I can't figure out what's going on with AAA. There's a lot of weird stuff. So WrestleVotes notes at one point, there had been a AAA taping internally listed for the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. Previous reports stated WWE has been looking at holding TV tapings in the U.S. on April 11th. However, a AAA TV taping in Mexico has been listed on WWE's website for that date for some time. So we're not sure what's going on with the television tapings. And then this article here on the front page of our website says that Rey Reyes is being broadcast as a 2-week special, whereas I had heard it was a 3-week special. And if they're doing the first hour live, I would presume that would be 2 more weeks, not 1 more week. I don't think Rey Reyes is going to be a 2-hour show. It's probably going to be a 3-hour show.
Maybe they're going to do 90-minute shows. Who knows?
Anyway, This Saturday, it'll be La Parca, Original El Grande, which is Chad Gable, El Grande, which is Ludwig, and Santos Escobar in a Rey de Reyes tournament. And the winner will get a ceremonial sword, which will be given to them by Penta, and also a future AAA mega title shot. Dominic is the mega champion. He's going to defend against El Vikingo this weekend.
Are you allowed to use the sword in the title match?
I don't think so. If Vikingo loses, he can no longer challenge. So we got 2 shows this weekend with the same stip. If Vikingo does not beat Dominic, he can no longer challenge for the AAA Mega Heavyweight title, although the stip is only while Dominic is champion, which I'm fine with, by the way. How many times do we need to see this one?
Well, I still contend the AEW one is just Hangman's word. It's not a stip.
Well, I'm sure they're going to do something goofy like that, but it's like, yeah, you can do semantics, but if Hangman loses and then later gets a championship, I mean, the hardcores are going to argue that it was never a stipulation, it was only his word, but a normal person is going to not trust any of these stips anymore. That's just how it is. And I don't know, man, I watched that show. Dave thinks for sure that Hangman's losing because he points out that they're shooting a lot of angles for future challengers to MJF. But that could also be done to swerve you, to think that MJF is winning. I think we'll... and it is a Texas death match. I don't know.
I'm picking MJF.
We'll find out. So that's the Rey de Reyes update. Yes, this weekend is the... Actually, there's a lot going on with AEW this weekend. Collision, which has already been taped. We won't do spoilers. But the Collision lineup has Andrade versus Mascara Dorada, which apparently surprised everyone at the building because they did not advertise this match in advance. I have no idea why, because it sounds awesome and apparently was. Lana Cross faces Mina Shirakawa, whose job, unfortunately, is just to do jobs lately. Although, I guess she could win. Doubt it. Lana Cross is getting a TBS title shot the next day and a tag team title shot the next day. So I would be very surprised if Mina won. I actually don't remember any of these results, by the way. Dave did the spoilers at about 2 o'clock in the morning last night, and I have no idea how I stayed awake. Yeah, especially after that 25-minute soliloquy about Ronda Rousey. That was a lot of Ronda talk last night. Mark Davis versus Commander. The Demand versus the Bang Bang Gang. We have the Triangle of Madness in action and a Chris Statlander promo. I always love when Collision has been taped, okay? We already know all the results if you want to find them. But on our lineup on the website, it just says Triangle of Madness in action. We can't list the jobbers? Anyway. So that's coming up on Saturday. And then the full lineup for the Sunday pay-per-view. And it's a big one. I'm sure the show is going to be great, but, I mean, Tony's just one of those guys who, like, he doesn't have a job. You know what I'm saying?
Brother does what he does.
Yeah, I mean, by job, I mean he doesn't wake up on Monday morning and have to be at the office at 9 a.m. So he does whatever he wants, and he goes as long as he wants. And so, yes, this show is starting at 8 o'clock p.m. on the East Coast. And they've got 13 matches. Now, granted, 2 of these are going to be on the pre-show. But still, you got an 11-match show starting at 8 o'clock on the East Coast on a Sunday night, a school night and a work night. And this brother's just going to go and go and go. We got a no-time limit match. We got a best-of-3 falls match. It's just going to be a long night.
It's going to be 12:30, 1 o'clock by the time you get out of that building.
So 0 Hour as Willow Nightingale and Lana Cross for the TBS title, which I presume Willow wins, and then Willow and Harley lose the tag titles later on in the evening because Willow's wrestling twice, defending both titles in one evening. And Ricochet is also defending the national title in a 21-man blackjack battle royal. Now, for those of you asking, why did Jack Perry beat Ricochet in a tag match 3 weeks ago, and then Ricochet is just defending the title in a national title battle royal? Well, I think just to get lots of people on the show. If you're looking for a better booking explanation than that, you ain't going to get it.
I hope Jack Perry's in the battle royal.
We don't know. We don't know. So then for the main show, we got, I believe, 11 matches starting at 8 Eastern. Marina Shafir and Toni Storm with everybody banned from ringside. Big Boom AJ will appear and hopefully wrestle Rush, although I don't know what's going on. I'm going to keep pushing it till it happens. We got Okada, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis against Kevin Knight, Mike Bailey, and Mystico for the Trios titles. We have Tekla and Chris Statlander in a 2 out of 3 falls match. I don't know why, but that's what they're doing. This show, by the way, is head-to-head with the Oscars. So that's, we'll see how many people...
It's a different demo.
It is, you would think. But maybe it's not, because there's a lot of 50 to 54-year-olds watching AEW, and I'm not sure a lot of young people are watching the Academy Awards. But, and the venue, by the way, is 30 minutes away from AEW's venue. So there's that as well. We got Brody King versus Swerve. We have got Bandito versus Andrade. We have John Moxley and Takeshita in a no time limit match for the Continental title. So, of course, the Continental title is supposed to be a 20-minute time limit. This is no time limit. So my guess is it probably will go more than 20 minutes, although they have done this before and the match didn't go more than 20 minutes. But I think this is going to go longer.
Well, hopefully they've got some standby matches.
Well, they can't, Lance, because Brody's booked. And as we all know from watching Dynamite, he's the only guy ever put in these matches, which, in fact, in storyline, he complained about on the show, and also complained about the fact that they didn't even tell me this week that I had a standby match, so he was in his street clothes.
So it's not really a standby match if you don't tell people to stand by.
It was done, I'm pretty sure the Brody thing on the show and also the press conference was done to troll me and me alone, because they're my two most hated things about AEW, aside from overruns. We have FTR.
They had that too.
Actually, they did have an overrun. They had the 3 things I hated most. Anyway.
Son of a gun.
FTR versus the Young Bucks for the tag team titles. MJF and Hangman. Texas Death Match. If Paige loses, he can never challenge for the world title ever again. Ever again. And Babes of Wrath versus Megan Bayne and Lana Cross for the tag titles. And Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Darby versus David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, and Clark Connors. All of that coming up this weekend. Yes. You know, that reminds me. I'm going to check something here, Lance.
You do that.
Because you believe that this is only a verbal stipulation, correct?
I believe he just promised. They had the who's going to get their stipulation debate, and Hangman got his stipulation, and that's Texas Death. I believe that's the only official stipulation of that match.
Well, last night, Dave was not sure about that whole best of 3 falls thing. So I went to All Elite Wrestling on X. All Elite Wrestling's official Twitter. And they did say that that it was best of 3 falls. So, All Elite Wrestling, it does say MJF defends versus Hangman in Page's signature match, but if Page doesn't win, he won't be able to challenge for the AEW World title ever again. The actual poster has the words, if Hangman loses, he will never challenge for the AEW World Championship again. So, I mean, once again, if they're going to try to do semantics about this here, they can do whatever they want, because you know what? It's fake, but they'll kill the stip if they go back on it. That's just the way it is.
Sadly, it wouldn't be the first time a stip has been killed in pro wrestling.
Yeah, but they've been very good about not doing that.
AEW has been far better than most, yes.
All right, well, guess we'll find out what they do this weekend. We're going to talk about the Dynamite show after the break. Lance, you watched it?
I did.
I want to mention before we get there, though, that Evolve on Thursday, I think it's Thursday, right? Tuesday, Wednesday? Actually, it's Wednesday. That's right. Because they put it head-to-head against Dynamite to, steal viewership. But they did do something on the show. They had a town hall meeting, and Kendall Gray, who is the Evolve Women's Champion, just vacated the belt because she is now an NXT talent. And just like Obafemi, they didn't want to beat her on the way out. So, I don't know. I don't know how this helps anybody to have a champion vacate the title and not lose it to somebody on the way out, but she's on her way to the main roster, the main NXT roster, and will no longer be doing Evolve, and so just vacated the title. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful.
I am going to channel the well-known, infamous roast of Bryan and Lance.
Oh, my God.
I vaguely remember this.
Lance was a champion in virtually every company he has appeared in. While he did hold the distinction of holding 3 titles, that angle fizzled out faster than his podcast, Killing the Town.
Wow. I now remember this utter disaster of a roast.
Let's get Lance a chair to sit in. And as we do, could we also bring someone up here to show him how to use it? I remember that chair shot. I don't remember who it was on, but
utter silence that this roast was met with.
Tom, at least I was smart enough not to do those chair shots again.
Bryan, besides me, there are others who I'm sure dislike you, like Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, but I think you're great, like a guiding light or a father, which is why I'm not surprised when you screw me every week. The best-selling author of The Death of WCW. He had just completed his new book, for which actually Lance Storm wrote the foreword, which is 3 more than most wrestling fans know.
Hideous. Atrocious.
It must be hard when you look so young. If I didn't know better, I'd say you had your grandma's jeans. But actually, if the camera panned down, I bet Lance is wearing them. Anyways, let's start the show. Carmelo went for the La Mystica. Andrade went for the Message.
It's actually not the La Mystica. It starts like a La Mystica, but the La Mystica is actually a submission, and he doesn't land in the submission. He just does the whole slam part and then jumps up.
Yeah, the La Mystica is a tilt-a-whirl head scissor into a Fujiwara armbar.
Into a Fujiwara armbar. The La Mystica is not the submission. Do not tell me
I didn't say that was a submission. I said the La Mystica involves the tilt-a-whirl facebuster into the submission. The whole thing. Why are you so angry?
Well, you just changed what you said live. Right?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't land in a submission. He just slams them. So it's not a La Mystica.
I believe that's the actual move.
Okay,
but
whatever. Who cares?
I just hope Editor Sean pulls up the exact clip of you saying La Mystica's a submission and then denying it afterwards.
La Mystica is actually a submission. I didn't say that was a submission.
La Mystic is actually a submission? I didn't say that was a submission.
Editor Sean.
The show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Lance, you had a comment about Dynamite in general?
Yeah, just as a very infrequent viewer, like I listen to you and Vinny cover the show, so I'm aware what's going on. But the show was so busy with so many people of nonstop action, nonstop run-ins, post-match attacks, that it was really hard to keep track of and follow. It was just like driving in a snowstorm where all the snow just comes at you and bombards you. You can't actually focus on any individual snowflake, so to speak. It was busy.
You know, there's some hardcore, I'm talking hardcore sickos on our board, and we fight regularly because, you know, Tony books the show for himself. He has like a photographic memory. He remembers everything. And, you know, there's a small percentage of fans that are just like him, and so he's infallible to them. He books perfectly. There's no problems whatsoever. And for like everybody else, you know, I watch all the shows, but I'm also watching 18 hours of wrestling a week from every different promotion. And I miss stuff here. I'm what's happening? Why did this person? What's going on? And of course, this makes people who, are obsessed with AEW and watch everything and only AEW get very angry. But there is a reason that I'm really trying to figure out what's going on with Dave's stat about how many people and how many pay-per-views, how many AEW pay-per-views they buy every year, because he got some stats.
Which I think is complete bogus.
From 20, that's why I do too. But there's an important thing here. He got stats in 2023 and 2024 from cable companies, okay? So not if you're buying it on Triller or whatever. I mean, you'd have to call your cable operator and buy through Comcast or whatever. And their stats claimed that your average AEW fan buys one AEW pay-per-view every year, okay? Now, obviously, I run this website, and we hear from the sickos all the time. But, like, on our board, there's a thread, are you going to buy this pay-per-view? And, like, one after the other, I bought everyone. I bought everyone. I buy everyone. I bought everyone. I missed one. I buy everyone. And it's like, but you're telling me that outside of the people on, like, our message board, your average AEW viewer is buying one show a year. This is very important because if that and I don't believe it's true, okay? I find that impossible to believe, especially because the number of people, like the average number of buys is like, it's almost always the same. It's like the same people buying every show, I believe. But if it's true that your average person is only buying one AEW pay-per-view every year, out of the 8 pay-per-views, your average viewer picks one a year to buy. Well, that tells me that your average AEW fan is way less engaged than the small number of absolute sickos who live and die by everything that is done on this. So, like, yeah, I watch the show and I think that they could do a much better job recapping things, reminding people of what happened. I went on that cruise, I missed 1 week of shows. I have never seen the angle they did with Hangman and Swerve that sets up this stipulation. Like, I got to take people's word for it about what everybody said. They haven't replayed it one time. Not once. You miss a week of the show, and it's just like, too bad. And, the sickos even say it. It's like, it's your job to keep yourself up to date, not their job, which I think is preposterous. Like, it's their job to let you know. This is the go-home show.
What? Watching a television broadcast should not be a job. It should be enjoyable.
Well, I mean, as a go-home show, I enjoyed it. I watch all of these shows, but I did, I was watching the show kind of thinking the same thing. It's like, it's one great match after another. There's a couple of angles, but mostly it's just like, here's a bunch of bangers. And for a go-home show, if you aren't a regular AEW viewer, I cannot say it was like a great go-home show as far as like making you excited for the pay-per-view, especially that press conference thing. But, I'm sure I'll hear about it in the thread today about how I'm an idiot and it was great and it's up to the fans to figure this out and this and that. But
there was a lot of action and the action was exciting. So if that is your goal, then there was a lot of that on the show. But I was just dumbfounded. By the third or fourth match, I'm like, was there a post-match run-in or a run-in during the match in every match? And then I had to think, and it was like, I struggled to remember who were the 4 people in the first tag. And it's like, who was in the other tag? And then what was the other match? And other than the women's match, there was either a post-match run-in and attack or a run-in and attack during the matches. The main event, at least the post-match attack, was involving 2 people that were in the match. There weren't extra bodies. But the women's match was the only match that didn't have post-match violence or a run-in.
Well, it opened up with Jon Moxley and Claudio versus Takeshita and Hechicero, which was a very good match that was, a lot of it was focused on Jon Moxley and Takeshita since they're wrestling this weekend. Claudio cheated and pinned Hechicero to win the match. And Yeah, it was like a really good match, but, there was a point during the match where I was just like, we've been seeing some combination of the Death Riders versus the Don Callis family for like a month now, and I still have, what is the feud other than we have a great match every week? Is there a point to this in the end?
It was weird, too, because I was of the impression that of the two, the Death Riders were more the baby faces, but it felt like they were cheering for Takeshita, and Takeshita was a babyface.
Well, yes, that's exactly what happened, because the whole thing is weird, because John, I think the Death Riders, I think they're basically a babyface faction, except everyone hates Wheeler, and everybody hates Marina. But they love Jon Moxley, and Claudio is kind of a tweener. Meanwhile, Takeshita and Hechicero are in the top heel group, but everybody loves Takeshita because he's probably turning babyface soon. And it's not like people hate Hechicero. So I think everybody in the match is either everyone in the match is kind of a tweener. And so I think they just decided, since Takeshita's probably turning babyface soon, we'll just make them the baby faces in this match, and that's how we'll work it. And that's what they did. So, yes.
And then that babyface had his heel cohorts run down and interfere in the match post-match.
Yes. And but he told them not to, because that's the big angle here is Takeshi's going to split at some point from the Don Callis family. We had, a bunch of talking segments, including MJF teasing a future match with Kyle Fletcher. So, everyone's looking at it like, well, it looks like they're setting up Kyle to go after MJF for the title, which they could do. But also, this could A, be a swerve, and B, if MJF loses, you can still do Kyle Fletcher and MJF except for the other title. So there's a lot of ways they could go here. We had Fletcher and Speedball for the TNT title. And this match was a step below the last match they had. And I only say that because the finish here was, screw job finish. Ref is distracted. Kyle rakes the eyes, clobbers him with the
Mark Davis
belt shot. Yep. And then brainbuster for the pin. But, man, these two are,
they do some exciting stuff.
They work great together.
And they work hard.
Yeah, you want to see a match with two guys who are going to kill each other? I got a match for you. This was that match. So Kyle obviously got the win, brainbuster finish. It was an incredible match. I honestly thought their first match was the best AEW television match of all of 2025. And this was only a step below that. So it was great. Then we had the Brody segment, which he killed some bloke, then complained that he was in a stand-by match nobody told him about. A standby match, by the way, is like a standby match is something you use to fill time when something goes short. This went after a match with a 20-minute time limit that went 19 minutes. So that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the whole concept of a standby match is you tell them ahead of time, stay warm, stay ready, you're on standby.
Well,
and
they forgot that thing. They forgot that part of the standby match. So then a hooded guy hits the ring, and he goes after Brody. Of course, it's Swerve, but Brody makes his own comeback, snaps the chain, is choking this guy out, and I was like, this is perfect. Perfect angle, because no one thinks Brody's going to win. So they made him look strong, but then Nana attacks him. Swerve snaps the bad wrist over the top rope, runs away. I didn't like that part. I think Brody should have just choked him out. So then we have Darby and Orange versus Gabe Kidd and David Finlay. This was another one. It's like the sickos found a way to describe why this made sense. But anyway, they're doing the match. Gabe ends up... I think the Gabe pinned... Was it Darby? I think he pinned
Clark
Darby.
Connors hit...
Clark Connors. Anyway, the point is, all these heels come down, and they start beating down Orange Cassidy. And it's 3-on-2 at this point. So we need a third body to make the save. And the third body ends up being Roderick Strong, who has spent a year saying he doesn't like these guys. He doesn't like the conglomeration. He's not in the conglomeration. He's only there because he likes Kyle. And he ends up coming down, and after walking out on Darby Allin in a match like 2 weeks ago and finally breaking up. Now he's back and he's with the conglomeration again. I was astounded by this one. But that's what they did. So Roddy is back with Orange Cassidy and Darby to face off at the pay-per-view. We had Willow beating Persephone with a backslide to retain the TBS title. I thought it was a pretty good match.
I really liked the finish, too.
They had a backslide. I bet you, Lance...
Out of the other woman's finish.
$25. Vinny is going to go crazy tonight going, has anyone ever got pinned by a backslide? Because he never remembers backslide finishes, and he does this every single time someone's pinned with a backslide. And then Willow, I mean, this made no sense logically. She challenged Lana Cross to a TBS title match on the pre-show, and then they challenged Lana Cross and Megan Bayne to a tag title match for later in the show. So, it makes sense in booking, but it doesn't make sense in real life. The booking is she's going to beat Lana Cross for the TBS title, and then they'll lose the tag titles to Megan and Lana later and split the wins and losses. But I presume that's what's going to happen. Maybe they'll win both. Maybe Lana Cross will win the TBS title. I doubt it, but that's what I think's happening. Then we had FTR and the Young Bucks and Mark Briscoe. FTR and Tommaso Ciampa versus the Bucks and Briscoe.
And holy moly, was there action in this one?
There was a lot of action in this one. I actually thought the match could have been even better. I think in front of a better crowd. They had 2,000 people in the building, and I think it was a lot hotter live than it was on television for whatever reason.
But look at the building.
It was a very good match, and Ciampa ended up pinning Briscoe with a running knee and gave him an air raid crash through 2 chairs afterwards. And I presume the Bucks are beating FTR for the titles in front of their family at the pay-per-view, and so this was their 50-50 thing. But an excellent main event. And then the actual final thing on the show was a fake press conference. Well, it was a real press conference. I mean, it happened.
With terrible audio.
But you had actual reporters asking fake kayfabe questions to get fake kayfabe answers, which led to a brawl between Max and Hangman. And then they had a brawl in the ring, and Hangman sent him packing. So I didn't like the main event angle with the press
If not for that
conference.
standby match, this might have actually fit on the show without an overrun.
Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful.
It's Bryan Alvarez and Big Vinny V, and we hope that you enjoy the show.
Should I do one more time? Huh? I played the entire song before realizing I had not hit record.
I figured as much.
So I had to start the entire show over again. Uh-oh. Is my internet down? My internet died.
Yeah.
All right. Stand by, everybody. Hi, everybody. We're back. And we're just gonna barrel on through, right, Vinny? What do we have on that Facebook thing? Now it says no audio. Jared, do we have audio?
I can hear you.
Honestly, what is going on?
Yeah, we just watched a movie
What
about
is
this.
up with my internet? Lost everybody again. Curry says no problems with the Big Vinny V show.
His words.
Not since the first one.
I was gonna say the very
There have
first
been
one was a
Many
disaster.
problems. Many
Yes.
problems.
We've had quite a few.
Yeah, and you know what I do? I just barrel on through.
Brian.
Barrel on through should be the name of this show. What the hell's going on this week? Like every single show, something goes terribly wrong. Today, I didn't have the music set to go at first. Then I got it set to go, but I forgot to hit record. Finally, I hit record and got the song going right. Golly. One disaster after another here. We're starting 15 minutes late. I still can't find the video, Jared. Is it up? Where is everything? Granny's joining us here today via phone. We cannot connect her audio or video. It's a blank screen. I don't know what's going on. What are we doing? Should we just quit today? I don't know what the problem is, Granny. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what's going on. We still have no video. I got a question. Where's the goddamn video at?
You gotta fire Jared.
All right, now it's up. Hello, everybody.
This is the one you told me to do last week, Undertaker plus Psycho Kid.
Okay.
Are you done laughing?
Yeah, we're done.
Yes, Granny, I apologize.
There'll be more.
Then Psycho Sid comes out with blonde curly hair. Hard to pull. Lasts a while before he gets out of it. I had to give that a 10.
A 10.
Oh, wow.
Undertaker won a match and a belt. That's a 10 on the granny scale.
Victor is still at it more than ever this week, as far as the soaps go.
Hell of a report, Granny.
All right.
That was a 10 on the Granny Soap Opera Report scale.
Okay, just a minute.
Jared, you're forgiven. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. Back at the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. It's Thursday. You know what that means? Impact's tonight, right?
Yep, on AMC. Main event is a Atlanta street fight with Moose and Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, you need to give me the lineup. For some reason, I don't have it here. What else do we got?
We have the AMC debut of Ricky Sosa. We have, good gravy, I'm blanking out. I think there's a trios match with Trey Miguel, Rich Swann, and BDE against Order 4. And I believe...
Okay, forget it. I got a bigger question. What happened to Rich Swann?
Dude shaved his head and beard.
He just showed up one day with his head and beard shaved?
And he looks really young.
I was like, I turned on the show because I missed a week. And I was watching that they had a tag match last week. And they didn't, like, the match started in the ring after commercial, and there were no graphics and nobody said anyone's name, like no ring introductions. And so you had to wait, you know, and I'm just looking at this. I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this guy teaming with BDE?
Man, is he good?
I'm waiting, and the announcers are talking about this guy and that guy, and then they mentioned Rich Swann, and then I'm looking around like, is Rich Swann on the floor? Where is Rich Swann? And then all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, that's Rich Swann. And then I thought, I must have, like, missed a week. He lost a hair match, or, you know, Moose shaved his head or something. Nope. He just showed up one day and looked completely different. So, yeah, how about that?
Check him out tonight, 9 p.m., AMC, TNA Wrestling.
That's right. We got to go, everybody. I'll be back later tonight with Vinny, AEW, NXT, and more. And we'll talk to you tomorrow with Lance as well. Wrestling Observer Live.